Sumy. As of now, it is known that 34 people have been killed. My condolences to all the families and loved ones. These were 2 Russian ballistic missiles. The first one struck a building, one of the university buildings. The second one exploded virtually over the street. 117 people were injured, including children, among them a girl born in 2025. The strike hit the city center on Palm Sunday. Only filthy scum can act like this. This Friday marked exactly 1 month since Russia rejected the American proposal for a complete and unconditional ceasefire. They are not afraid. And that's precisely why they resort to ballistic missiles. That's why every night there are around 100 strike drones, most of them shards which target ordinary Ukrainian cities. Only pressure, only decisive action, can change this. Every Russian ballistic missile, every cruise missile, every Russian shard, every guided bomb, strike not only our people, not only our communities, but also diplomacy, and the political efforts of everyone who is truly trying to bring this to an end.
I think it was terrible, and I was told they made a mistake, but I think it's a horrible thing. I think the whole war is a horrible thing. I think the war is, for that war to have started, is an abuse of power. This country would have never allowed that war to have started if I were president. That war is a shame. Millions of people are dead that should be alive. Cities are being destroyed all over Ukraine. The whole culture is gone. Certainly very severely hurt. You know, the chapels, the churches, or spirals, all of the things that they had in the Ukraine were among the most beautiful anywhere in the world, and most have been knocked down and blown up into a million pieces. But most importantly, you have millions of people dead that shouldn't be dead. Think of it. Think of what a recollection means. We wouldn't have had the war in Ukraine. We wouldn't have had the Russia-Ukraine situation. We wouldn't have had October 7th, Israel, the Middle East. We wouldn't have had inflation. We wouldn't have had the most embarrassing day or period in the history of our country. That's Afghanistan, one of the most embarrassing moments in the history of our country, in Afghanistan. All of these things wouldn't have taken place. Think of it, we wouldn't have had inflation. But millions of people would be alive except for the fact that the elections were rigged, because that war would have never started, and Putin never would have started that war. Okay, any other questions?
In the attack, you said they made you were told they made a mistake. Do you mean it was unintentional?
They made a mistake. I believe it was. Look, you're going to ask them. This is Biden's war. This is not my war. I've been here for a very short period of time. This is a war that was under Biden. He gave him billions and billions of dollars. He should have never allowed, if he had any brain, which he didn't have and doesn't have, and now it's being proven, he wouldn't have allowed that war to start. I would have absolutely not. That war would never have taken place. But remember this is Biden's war. I'm just trying to get it stopped so that we can save a lot of lives. They happen to be Ukrainian and Russian lives.
Over the past few years, I have repeatedly drawn the attention of the UN Secretary-General to the fact that, as the chief administrative officer of the organization, as stated in the Charter, he is obliged to abide by the principles set out in Article 100 of the Charter. This means that he should maintain a neutral position and not take orders from any government. I have known him for a long time, and we are on a first-name basis, having worked together in overlapping capacities for decades. I have urged him not to take instructions from Western countries on the situation in Ukraine. Despite this, he has maintained his stance. Most recently, following reports of civilian casualties in Sumy, he stated his strong support for an end to violations of international humanitarian law and reiterated his commitment to resolving the Ukrainian crisis in accordance with the UN Charter and respect for Ukraine's territorial integrity, as well as relevant General Assembly resolutions. At the outset, it is important to note that international humanitarian law, IHL, clearly prohibits the use of military means in civilian areas, a violation that has occurred since the beginning of the conflict. Even during the Minsk agreements, which raised fleeting hopes of a peaceful resolution, The territorial integrity of Ukraine, with the exception of Crimea, was not respected as it should have been. There are countless examples of artillery and air defense systems in urban areas, alarmingly close to schools and kindergartens. Numerous videos show Ukrainian women pleading with the military to move away from shops and playgrounds, but the practice continues. We also have information about the staff of the facility that was attacked in Sumy. There has been another meeting between Ukrainian military commanders and their Western counterparts, probably disguised as mercenaries, although it's widely known that NATO troops are present and in command. Only recently, the New York Times detailed how the Americans have played a central role in the attacks on Russia from the outset. Without this American involvement, many of the long-range missiles would probably have remained on their bases.